This is a HeadGum podcast.
Tim, are you doing holiday shopping yet?
Yeah, of course.
Then have you been to Movement Watches to check out the watches they have?
Well, I'd like to hear more about them, Tom.
Tim, you came to the right place.
Great.
Holiday shopping can be tough, but thanks to Movement Watches, all that gift-giving anxiety can disappear with the press of a button. These watches make the perfect purchase for just about anyone in your life, guy or girl. And remember, Tim, for the last time, I'm telling you, they start at only $95.
That's preposterous, Tom.
You've heard me talk about these watches, Tim.
At length.
You have one. I have one.
I got one for my girlfriend, too, Tom. I didn't even do it. I was stupid. I got to get her a whole separate Christmas gift. I should have just...
Yeah, you got to sit on that.
I just gave it to her because I was like, Happy Sunday one day. Because it was so cheap. I could just...
Yeah, it's that kind of gift.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's finish your holiday shopping and get a Movement watch for someone on your list besides your girlfriend, maybe your mistress. The holiday shopping
Which one?
Holiday shopping season is here. With Movement, you can skip the crowds and standing in crazy lines at the mall and find a gift they'll love at prices that beat the department stores. Movement watches start at just $95. At a department store, you're looking at $400 to $500 for this type of watch. Movement figured out that by selling online, they were able to cut out the middleman and retail markup, providing the best possible price. Classic design, quality construction, stylized minimalism, over 500,000 sold in 160 countries.
I like that you were going to say 500,000. Then you were like, you know what? I can represent that by saying million in some way. Yeah.
Tim, you're in luck because today you can get 15% off with free.
Just me?
Unless anybody's overhearing this, then I guess they could take part too.
Yeah. What are the odds, though?
You can get 15% off with free shipping, free global shipping anywhere in the world, and free returns by going to movementwatches.com. That's MVMTwatches.com/guide. This watch has a really clean design. Every time I wear it, people are like, hey, nice watch, pal. Now is the time to step up your watch game. Go to MVMTwatches.com/guide. Join the movement. Hello and welcome to The Complete Guide to Everything, a podcast about everything. I am one of your hosts, Tom.
And I'm Tim.
Tim, how are you doing on this steamy evening?
Tom, it's not steamy, just the room that we're in, and I'm
No,
feeling...
it's steamy outside, Tim. Look at it. It's fog. It's like the whole neighborhood's making out there. Fogging up the windows. Fogging up the windows to the studio here.
Man, that'd be amazing, right?
If there were that many... No, that'd be horrifying. If there were that... We're up on the 4th floor, Tim. If there were that many people making out on the street below us to steam up these windows...
Yeah, it means like the Russians dropped some sort of like...
love bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean... Yeah, sure, they're doing it to distract us from whatever...
From the real issues.
Yeah.
Right.
But like, or like they're going to like walk into our store. I don't know what...
They're going to walk in, what, and steal? Tim, is that what you think the Russians are planning?
I don't know what the Russians are up to, Tom.
Well, it's probably something beyond shoplifting.
Who knows? On a large scale, Tom, that's grand larceny.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And Tom, I don't know about you, but I don't support grand larceny.
Could even be mega larceny.
Ooh.
Yeah. I don't think another country's ever invaded a country just to shoplift. Just
pillaging. That's what pillaging is.
Yeah, but that's more from like people's homes and stuff. Like no country's ever invaded a country and then just like, all right, boys, now just remember, strictly commercial. That's who we're stealing from.
Well, no, they could steal from everything because everybody's going to be making out on the street when they drop the love bomb, Tom.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And then you'd be making out on the couch with your lover, and then they'd walk in. And
not me. I'd be safe up here on the 4th floor.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, no. What would happen, Tom? You and I in this studio.
Well, we'd have to keep the windows sealed.
Yeah.
Or else. Yeah.
My worst nightmare.
Anyway, how are you doing on this steamy evening?
I'm doing fine, Tom. I'm doing...
the Lord's work.
Yeah, exactly. How are you doing?
I'm good, Tim.
You're wearing a black armband, I see.
Yeah, Tim, because it's...
Did Superman die again? Did Doomsday kill Superman again?
Listen, first off, Superman didn't act... Well, he, died, but he came back. I explained this to you earlier. I'm not going to repeat it again just for the benefit of everybody.
No, you're not talking about the hit movie Batman v Superman.
No, Superman dies in that, too. Spoiler alert if you're nobody in the world has wanted to see Batman v Superman and not seen it yet.
Right. A bunch of people who clearly didn't want to see it also saw it.
Yeah.
That was like the #1 movie for weeks.
Yeah.
And it was universally agreed upon that it was one of the worst movies of all time. But people were still like, yeah, but I'll go see it. And they came out like, yep, you guys were right. Worst movie of all time. I'll have to watch the extended edition when it comes out just to make sure. But I'm pretty sure it's the worst movie of all time.
Well, it's not the worst of all time. It's definitely
Suicide Squad takes that.
A few months later, they topped it. No, I recently watched the extended edition of Suicide Squad, too.
After hating the shorter version of it. Did you think that adding a half hour would make you like it more?
Well, they added 12 more minutes of the Joker, Tim, and let me tell you, these 12 minutes are twisted. No, it's
Can't
even
imagine
worse.
how twisted.
Just seeing more of Jared Leto's Joker was horrible.
Really?
I mean, it wasn't like horrible. It was just like, no, I got it the first time, and this stinks.
Isn't that the most beloved character in like modern times is the Joker? The dumbest thing.
It's not
dumbest
the dumbest
character.
thing. No,
It's like
you're
a
the
guy
dumb.
that likes to do twisted stuff.
No, it's just that in
Cool.
Suicide Squad, he talks the whole time like he's got vampire teeth in his mouth.
He does have vampire teeth in his mouth.
He's like, oh, Batman. Well, looks like you found my
Yeah, you'd rather
plan.
have Keith Ledger's Tom Waits impression?
Yeah, than a guy with Halloween stored vampire teeth in his
That's
mouth.
true.
But anyway, Tim, how do we even start talking about?
Is your mourning Batman's death?
Oh yeah, no,
All
Tim.
right.
The reason why I'm wearing the black armband today, for once, isn't Superman. You would notice because he would have the bleeding Superman logo on it.
Oh, man.
Well, technically, it's the House of L logo. But anyway, well, technically, it's the House of L shield, like their crest. Their
Then why did it have
family
an
crest.
S on it?
It's not an S. It stands for hope. It's a Kryptonian letter, Tim. You dummy. You idiot. It's like a
And
hieroglyph.
it just so happens to correspond with Superman.
Yeah, it looks like an S. But I think about an S looks like a snake, and you don't ever say, huh, well, that's a weird coincidence that S's look like snakes.
No, snakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Not hope. Oh, man.
It's a different planet.
They blew it having
It's an even bigger coincidence.
Shepard Fairey should have made Obama posters with the S on it.
Yeah, then people would have.
Superman. Then they would have known about hope.
Right. So the reason why I'm wearing the black armband today, Tim, is because a American original has passed away today. Breaking news. Well, not breaking by the time you're hearing this. By the time you're hearing this, the funeral's probably over.
Yeah, which we will be attending.
Michael James Jim Delegati.
Wait, his name was Michael, his middle name was James, and he went by Jim?
Yeah.
I don't understand how people decide these things.
Well, sometimes it's not decided for you, Tim. Sometimes, and also, like, people go by their middle name when they have like a weird first name. His first name was Michael. His middle name was James. I hate the name Michael. I'll go by Jim.
Yeah. There's a kid, Tom, you know him well, who went to high school, or all school with us. His first name was George.
Even college, Tim.
And,
We went to different colleges.
His name was George, and his middle name was Ryan.
Uh-huh.
So whenever there was a substitute teacher, they'd like call the roll call, right? And he went by Ryan all the time.
Right.
Good George, apparently, like in the 90s, was like a weird name to have,
Yeah,
right?
it's still a weird name. Tim, you always point out how weird it is that George Clooney's name is George.
Yeah, that's true. It's not as weird as the fact that Vin Diesel's name is Vin.
Well, that's not his real name.
It's Vincent.
It's
still
vehicle
weird.
identification number.
So whenever there was a substitute teacher, they'd be like, George, and like he'd be like, that's Ryan. And then like it was only by his reaction that like people found out that he didn't want to be called like
George.
Yeah, it's fine. So I
Was
started
he-
calling him George, and they tried to fight me at lunch.
Was he from the jungle? Is that why he hated it?
He was from the
He was
jungle,
raised by
yeah.
wolves in the jungle. George of the jungle.
Is George of the Jungle raised by wolves?
I don't know how George wound up in the jungle and who raised him.
You know what the thing is? I think it was back in the days where you didn't have to have an origin story. And it's like
Right.
this,
Nobody
there's a
asked
goofy
questions.
guy and he swings a vine into a tree, and that's good enough. You don't need to know about his parents were gunned down by a wolf in front of him.
And then the wolves raised them.
Yeah. Fell into a pit of wolves. Who died, Tom?
Yeah, I told you, Michael James Jim Delegati. The McDonald's, Michael. Anyway, the McDonald's franchisee who created the Big Mac nearly 50 years ago.
Wow. This is the kind of news that we usually break on our sister show, The News.
Right. But, sometimes the news interrupts your regularly scheduled programming. And that's a case of this happening.
Right. Non-Patreon subscribers are getting this for free, Tom.
He died Monday. Oh, wait a minute. Why are we only finding out about this now?
On Tuesday? No,
on
today's
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. He died Monday at home in Pittsburgh, surrounded by his family. Family spokesperson Kerry Ford said
that
Wednesday.
Guy needs that family needs a spokesperson.
That family needs a spokesperson, and that spokesperson waits 48 hours to report on what else is that family up to that he's like, oh, yeah, I've got to get all these other press releases out before I tell everyone the guy who invented the Big Mac died.
Right. So he was a franchisee that invented the Big Mac. Did it make him a rich man? Did Ray Kroc do him dirty?
I doubt. Oh, dirty, yes.
Yeah.
Right? No. Well, I don't know. Well, let me explain.
We're about to get sued by the Kroc estate for the 4th time. Thanks a lot, Tom.
Delegati's franchise was based in Uniontown, not far from Pittsburgh, where he invented the chain's signature burger in 1967 after deciding customers wanted a bigger sandwich. I had no idea the Big Mac was not a corporate invention. That was a franchisee.
Yeah.
A pioneer.
It's actually, here's the thing. You think like, oh, it's just a guy starting at the bottom. You need like $1 million to start a McDonald's franchise.
I'll get to that. Michael Delegati, that's the son.
Can you go off book now? Can our local McDonald's be like, hey?
Oh, I'm sure. I am positive, Tim, that there are now laws.
Yeah.
It's not only like a contract. It's like, no, Congress passed a law in 1972 saying if you go off book, McDonald's...
You're going to get like a bloody clown shoe in the mail or something.
It's probably like a subheading under like a double jeopardy where it's like, well, you know what? They can't be tried for murdering you again. Michael Delegati said McDonald's executives told his father he could experiment with a bigger burger, but only using products the restaurant already stocked.
Ooh, it's a challenge.
A real challenge, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. He was often asked why he named it the Big Mac, and he said because Big Mick sounded too funny.
Well, it's also horribly racist.
It could be construed that way.
You know that the Big Mac wasn't the original name.
What was the original name?
He wanted to call it the Aristocrat.
Really?
Yeah. I love a Big Mac. It's one of my favorite things in the world, but get real. Get real. This is not an aristocrat. Maybe it's like a play on that old joke where it's like we're going to put the most disgusting shit together, and then at the end we're going to call it the Aristocrat. Yeah. He's like, this weird special sauce. 2 patties, 3 buns. And they're like, what do you call the burger? The Aristocrat.
And nobody is going to, like a real aristocrat, isn't going to order a sandwich called the Aristocrat.
No. If you had a sandwich named after you, like at a local place, you'd feel too embarrassed to get it, right? You can be like,
I think the other way, that I'd feel too embarrassed to get anything else, let alone if other people saw me and reported it to the press.
Right. Well, originally it was either called that, or he also wanted it to be called the Blue Ribbon Burger.
That's not terrible. I feel like that exists
you know what?
somewhere.
That's too. It's not unique enough. The blue. You might as well name it like the Deluxe.
But that's when they used to just give blue ribbons to pigs. It was before Brooklyn when everything was blue ribbon something.
So it was a lot more prestigious when blue ribbons were only for pigs.
Yeah.
All right, I understand.
Because that pig really had to do something.
Yeah, that's true.
The son, Jim, Michael James Jim. All right, this is confusing.
Just call him Michael. Or Mr. Delgatti.
Michael James Jim Delegati named his son Michael Delegati. So he didn't like the name for himself, but he gave it to his son?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
Jim, quote unquote, Jim Delegati.
Let's call him Jim.
That's a nickname. Told the Associated Press in 2006 that McDonald's resisted the idea at first because its simple lineup of hamburgers, cheeseburgers, fries, and shakes was selling well. What a 180 from today's McDonald's, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
where
Who
we've been
wanna try
preaching,
everything.
just stick to the